God's printer may or may not be divinely inspired, but we know that at least part of that printer's mission is inspired by the book encased in regal splendor in the Library of Congress. It is the Gutenberg Bible, made with loving care centuries ago on the first printing press. As John Blackstone tells us now, this small printing company is up to big things indeed, using some modern tools to recreate a masterpiece for the millennium.
There's a noisy rhythm to the machinery that turns molten lead into letters, the type that will become the printed word.
There will arise 7 years of famine. Come, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt.
The words are even older than the wheels and cranks and presses.
For the famine had reached the land of Canaan. Stop. The making of a large format Bible is not something to be undertaken lightly. One is going up against great books of the past. You're going to be late tonight.
For 25 years, Andrew Hoyem's Arion Press in San Francisco has been publishing fine books that are both beautiful and heavy.
Yes, this is James Joyce's great book, Ulysses, with 40 etchings by the artist Robert Motherwell. And here we have a dummy of the Bible, giving some sense of its scale. Not exactly the sort of thing you'll read in bed. I'll pull the first one.
Hoyem says it's been 60 years since anyone published a Bible of this grandeur, and that was the old King James Version. He says there's now a need for a new large-scale Bible for church lecterns, using the more contemporary biblical translation, the New Revised Standard Version.
I've tried to make a page that is of the present moment, is of the 1990s, and yet I hope will have a timelessness that will be enduring into the next century and perhaps beyond. You know, I think we should consider replacing those lords.
Hoyem plans to print only 400 copies of this Bible. Each will have 1,200 pages.
Page 119. We're just in numbers, just getting started.
Reading the type upside down and backwards, typographers Gerald Redden and Peggy Gotthold adjust each page until it's perfect.
It is the book, as opposed to a book.
At the back of the shop in the type foundry, Louis Mitchell is turning molten lead into every letter of every chapter and verse.
The only objection I have is I've always been a King James man, and this is a New Standard Revised Bible, which I don't even own a copy of.
It may be a new translation, but there is something both historic and nostalgic about this Bible.
It'll probably be the last one ever printed directly off of lead type in the world.
With computer technology making the printing press obsolete, this Bible may well be at the end of a line that goes back 550 years to Gutenberg.
It was printed on vellum with a printing press, the first in the world.
At the Library of Congress, the Gutenberg Bible has a place of honor as the first masterpiece of the printer's trade.
And imagine the genius of Gutenberg. He had to invent a printing press. No such thing existed. He began with a wine press.
Hoyem insists that even in this age of digital typography, the methods of Gutenberg still have a place.
The type, when inked, is impressed into the paper. When you're looking at a sheet that's been properly printed by letterpress, you're looking at a very three-dimensional object. It's a quite different aesthetic experience from seeing a laser printing from a computer where the letter form floats on the surface of the paper.
But the old ways involve some time-consuming drudgery. To create the lead type for printing, an operator would have to copy the entire Bible using the Monotype's tortuous keyboard. That could take months, even years. So at the Arion Press, they came up with a better way. This looks a little like a Rube Goldberg invention. Stuck to the side of Louis Mitchell's Monotype casting machine is a complicated array of wires and chips.
And it is being driven, and this is rather unusual, by a computer.
The little Macintosh with the biblical translation on floppy disks has been rigged to tell the Monotype what letters to make next. But it took months of struggling to make it work.
We encountered difficulties in getting the casting machine to obey the computer.
So the 19th century technology resisted bending to the will of the computer for a while.
Well, to a large extent, also the computer was resisting functioning in this 19th century manner. We're seeing the opening page of the book of Joshua.
Hoyem has built a bridge between the Industrial Revolution and the Digital Revolution, harnessing a computer to design each page.
This was the final pencil drawing I did for the eye that we use in Genesis, and that was.
And Hoyem brought in Sumner Stone, a designer of typefaces for computers, to create a new and unique type to be used for the large initial letters that will begin each book of this Bible.
There's an attempt to be somewhat grand about the whole thing, because that's the intent. This is the opening of the book.
In the deluxe version of this Bible, the initial letters will be grander still.
So this is a completed letter at the beginning of Genesis.
In a style that even predates Gutenberg, some will be hand-painted, a few even embellished with gold. That's the job of Thomas Ingmeyer. Is this anachronistic to be doing this sort of work?
Well, it is anachronistic, but it's really the only way that you can make something that has this quality. I think because society has this technology to allow us to produce something efficiently and quickly, we lose sight of the value of something like this that takes so much time.
Well, the value of this Bible may not be properly measured in dollars. It does, of course, have a price.
With illuminated initial letters, $2,500 is added regardless of what binding option is chosen. So it can go up to $11,000.
The Bible will be sewn together by hand. It's being printed on paper of such high quality that Hoyem says it's likely to last for centuries.
The book will last to the extent of the quality of the paper, and we wanted to make a book that would last perhaps as long as, we would hope, as long as the Gutenberg Bible has lasted. Over 500 years. Then Pharaoh sent for Joseph, and he was hurriedly brought out of the dungeon.
But in the daily proofreading sessions, Hoyem has come to see the real magnificence is not in the type or the paper or the layout, but in the words.
Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, quote, "In my dream I was standing on the banks of the Nile, Semi 18, and 7 cows come."